We are live at GOZO's Kitchen in, not GOZO's with an S, GOZO Kitchen and Lounge. Now, you just told me what that means, Chef. So tell me and tell the people, what does GOZO mean?
GOZO is an English word, but in Spanish it means joy.
Joy.
Yeah.
So off top, I love that, because when you're eating, you want to feel joy.
Exactly.
You want to be blissed. You want to be excited and happy. That's one of the best things that you can do. Now, I've had an opportunity to meet you, Chef. First off, let me introduce. I'm sorry. My name is James. I'm your host for today, and this is the wonderful celebrity chef, Miguel. And I met Chef Miguel at the NAREP event that we had a few months ago.
Yes, sir.
And when I tell you that, it was, Chef made some street corn that was the best street corn I've ever tasted in my life. I'm not exaggerating. I grew up in the LA area. I know about street corn, and it was absolutely delicious. And even outside of the food being delicious, Chef, one thing that I admired about you is that you greeted everyone, you talked to everyone, you took time with everyone. And as an entrepreneur in this day and time as far as business, that's very special and different, because a lot of people don't do that. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
Let's give the people some details of how you started, what made you have a passion for cooking and becoming a celebrity chef, well, becoming a chef, then a celebrity chef, and I want to get into you opening up the restaurant.
Of course, yeah. No, first of all, thank you, James, for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure. I know when we met, it was kind of a quick thing.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of people there, kind of networking. But thank you for following up with me and you know, having you guys here at the restaurant.
Absolutely.
So just to kind of go back to what you said, I started in the industry at a young age.
Okay.
After high school, you know, everybody was like, what's next for me? You know, we go look for a job, you know, and I didn't want to go work at a fast food or a retail store. So
Right.
I went to go apply at a hometown buffet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they gave me an opportunity to be like a salad boy.
Okay.
Clean salad, restock, all that. Did that for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks roughly. I was like, I don't want to do this. I was more growing up in a Mexican household. It was very fast paced, you know. You know, mom and dad always had shorts for us, or you know, on holiday breaks from school, I would always go work with my dad. So I was always in a fast paced environment,
Right.
where I didn't want to go stand behind a register and ring people in or clean little salads. So I was like, you got something different? He's like, yeah, we got a dishwashing position. So I was like, all right, I'll try that out. So I went back there, and 18 years later, I never came out. I never came back out. I mean, I fell in love with the kitchen, with the atmosphere, with the fast-paced environment, the screaming, the you know, kind of everything.
Order up, let's get this going.
Exactly.
We need to get this done.
The kitchen lingo, all that, you know, it kind of just, this career really fell into my lap. I fell into it. And now I made it my passion after a couple years, and I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and it's worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, out of all the different positions that you have in a restaurant, like you said, you start with the salad and they put you in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
What made you say, you know what, I want to learn how to bake salmon, or I want to learn how to cook filet mignon? What brought you to that aspect in the kitchen to get your passion going? Was it because of your parents that you just talked about, or what drew you to that part as far as cooking?
It was just like a journey of different restaurants and different facilities that I worked in. I worked in restaurants, sports bars, living centers, hospitals, hotels, and a little bit of everything kind of pushed me to where, okay, how am I going to distinguish myself as a chef?
Got it.
You know, especially being Latino, I wanted to make myself different, not focus on Mexican food, right, or Hispanic food. I wanted to give myself a twist. I honestly compared myself with Gordon Ramsay, Bobby Flay. You know, you got the Hispanic chef Aaron Sanchez as well.
Right.
I always told myself, I want to be where they're at.
Okay.
There's nothing different that for me to them. I feel like I can get there. I can cook that type of food. You know, give the audience good food, simple recipes, simple seasonings, good cooking techniques, but give it my Latin twist. Okay. And that's kind of what I started doing, and I ventured off from everything I just mentioned to open up my first business at 24 years old, which was a catering business. Okay. I had Reyes Catering for about 5-6 years. It did well, and then after that, I branched over to start my own brand, CMR, which is Chef Miguel Reyes, because I wanted people to see me more of a chef than a catering company.
Got you.
But you know, I started there to build a clientele base. Once I merged over to started the brand, I went into private dinners, I went into all that, and then in between those, and this kind of a lot of people don't know this about me. In between those, I also did a little bit of high school teaching.
Oh wow!
I taught for 3 years out of high school.
Okay.
So I taught culinary arts and hospitality management, which also helped me in part of my career to, you know, a little bit of public speaking, you know, how to do demos and stuff
Right.
like that, which I feel like every location that I've worked at in my career has helped me to be where I'm at right now. Yeah.
That's a blessing. I love to hear the journey because even though we're doing the interview on a Tuesday, it's
Yeah.
for Entrepreneur Monday. And being an entrepreneur, people, because of social media, because of word of mouth, they think that it's just easy. They don't know the behind the scenes. They just know what they see up front. They see the glory of it. But in that process of you starting a catering business, you still teaching at that time, what drew you into the celebrity side of things? Because you hear about celebrity barbers and celebrity car cleaners and how sometimes celebrities are difficult to work with. What made you get into that aspect and how did you like that part of it?
You know, the cool thing about that, bro, is my first big client is out of this city, Chino Hills.
Really?
That's my first big client.
Okay.
Right when I was in the teaching, I remember I would teach in the mornings. I'll be off by like 3 o'clock, 2:33, and then I would go do my shopping, and then drive out to Marina Del Rey. And my first big client for 3 years was Lonzo Ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. He was right here at, was it Chino Hills or Chino High School?
Chino Hills.
Chino Hills, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny how I ended up back here in Chino.
We got to get him back over here.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the plan. I'm in the work. It's in the works.
Okay, all right, good deal.
Yeah.
Well, quick story about that. Alonzo's dad, my son is an influencer.
Okay.
And that goes to perception because you hear all these things when Alonzo and his boys was first coming up about how his dad was and how he acted and how crazy he was, and you would think that if you met him in person, he would act like that.
Yeah.
He was at the Victoria Gardens. Him and his wife was there. His wife had kind of a limp. Long story short, my son does a video with him and ends up on World Star, and the man was the most polite man that you would ever meet, and his wife was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm saying all that to say, never look at the perception in media. Look at what the reality is when you actually meet someone.
Yeah, I was able to cook for the Ball family for a while.
That's good.
A couple times. I was most focused with Alonzo.
Okay.
But you know, beautiful family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now in that process, did that make you want to continue to work with more celebrities, or how did that work for you once you got a taste of that?
I think that right after that, I said that's actually where I started private dinners because of his manager.
Okay.
His manager, I think one time contacted me. I wasn't doing private dinners yet. I was still doing caterings and I was still teaching. So he said, I have a couple friends coming over. Would you mind cooking us something a little more gourmet? So I started doing the steak, the lobsters,
Nice.
all that stuff that I started doing. Started posting it, and then a couple of other friends, entrepreneurs, like, hey, can you do that for me? And from there, I kind of took off.
The domino effect.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And that's what happened. So I think that's kind of where the shift started for me in my career, to where not necessarily I wanted to get into the celebrities, but it just started opening the doors by itself.
They start finding you.
Yeah.
Because word of mouth is important, and then when you do a great job like you do, then people will seek you out.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now let's go from the celebrity aspect, since we have a foundation now of starting when you're 18, your family roots, the beginning. What made you want to transition? Because you could still be doing private dinners, celebrities, you can still be doing that. What made you say, I'm going to start a brick and mortar and open up a restaurant? Because you hear statistics about restaurants, catering trucks, things like that. What made you go into that?
Honestly, it's a funny story because my whole life I came out of restaurants.
Okay.
I came out of dishwashing prep. That was the beginning of me into the industry. And I told myself I will never go back to a restaurant. That restaurant life is very, it's very demanding.
Right.
Right. Obviously, the whole industry as itself. But when I did the caterings and the private dinners, I had more flexibility with my schedule.
Gotcha.
Right, because I was doing very well, so I was only working 2 to 3 times a week. You know, if I wanted to take a day off, I had that flexibility, right? Which I probably still can right now. But coming back to the restaurant industry, I wanted to be able to give, number one, honestly, I opened up the restaurant not honestly for myself. I really wanted to be able to give the employees, people working here, an opportunity to come back home and put food on the table for their families.
Nice.
Because I started to realize that when I was running the other businesses, I had a pretty big staff, and I would like to hear the stories like, oh, you know, today I paid X, Y, and Z my bills, or I did this, or I took my mom to dinner with the money that we made here. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I was like, look, I can open a location and be able to give the people in the back, the cooks, the chefs, the servers, bartenders, opportunity for employment, number one, and then opportunity for personal growth and and business growth as well. And then it just kind of started to branch off, you know.
Okay.
That's where I started to kind of branch off and see the bigger picture. I'm like, all right, maybe opening up a restaurant it's a good move, and let's see where this takes us.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Now let's talk about a little bit of how did you come up with the name first? We know that Gozo means joy in English, which is wonderful. What gave you the mindset for that name? Because you could have picked any name. You could have put Chef Miguel, celebrity chef, to be on the marquee.
Yeah.
But what made you give it joy?
Joy, it's simple because I remember people would always ask you, what's your favorite thing about cooking?
Okay.
Being a chef, I can say, oh, it's making the filet or making a pasta. For me, it was more coming from a private dinner point of view, seeing the people joyful while, you know, I was back there cooking for their meals, or, you know, holiday or Christmas parties, or even birthday parties, and everybody was just having a good time. Besides the food, it was always a vibe at everybody's different houses.
Right.
It was a different vibe, and I think that's what I saw. Like, I like to see people happy and joyful, and that's why I picked the name.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, the entrepreneur side of it, anybody who's looking to get into the restaurant business or to open up or become a chef, whether it be a regular chef, celebrity chef, what advice could you give them about starting a business? Because some people say, well, it's the economy, or it's the time, or it's the... People come and make up with a lot of excuses. Yeah. However, you persevered through it. You made this happen. We're right here in your restaurant right now. What advice could you give to any entrepreneurs who want to start a restaurant business?
I think number one, no matter what industry you're in, always start from the bottom.
Gotcha.
Always, you know, don't try to skip
the steps.
Skip the steps,
right.
Or skip the chapters, and be like, okay, I mean, I learned a couple, I know how to make a couple dishes. I'm gonna jump into doing caterings or private dinners or a food truck, which, I mean, I like the being ambitious and you're gonna throw yourself in doing it,
right.
But there's a lot more to it. You gotta learn a little bit more than just a couple dishes. You gotta learn a little bit of finances, how to run a team,
That's
kitchen
right.
finances, what else? I think learning the fundamentals of any industry, and I'm speaking about my industry, but I think in any industry, you have to know the fundamentals,
right.
And then be able to take it step by step and make sure that every step you take is a firm step.
Gotcha.
You know, you don't want to be wobbling at every other step and be like, I made it, and then you look back down the road and all your steps are wobbly.
Right.
You got to make sure you know every category that you're doing. Once you get to where you're at, then okay, maybe you're starting from scratch again. Cause like right now I'm back to square one.
Right.
Right. It's a whole new adventure for me, starting back to square one. But I know I have all the steps locked in.
You got it locked in because you know the process. And the great part about what you just said, as far as not trying to skip the steps, is if you don't skip those steps, even if you make a mistake, it prepares you for the next step to make and the next step to make. So you can say, you know what, I made this mistake, but now I know how to divert from that, and I know what to do moving forward.
Yeah.
Which is really good. Now tell us the specialties of this restaurant. I mean, I've seen it online. We're going to be eating here today with the staff and the marketing team. What is the premium part of the restaurant that you want people to know when they come in here? Besides, let me just say that when we came in, I have yet to go to a restaurant where the hostess opens the door for us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we had a lot of bags. That was just a wonderful way to be greeted on that level. So I appreciate your staff members for that, and that kind of consideration goes a long way. And I want the people to know, when you are respected at any eatery that you go to because someone's cooking your food, that says a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And that wasn't just because I don't think she knew who we were.
Yeah.
So that wasn't because like, oh, no, that was just genuine empathy, and that goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. So I think just kind of answer your question, I don't really have a specialty in house.
Okay.
Right. The menu that the items you're gonna try, or the menu you're gonna see, it's they're rotating. You can say rotating or seasonal menus.
Okay.
That every so often we're gonna rotate them and change them up, and that's the flexibility that I have here.
Okay.
That I can change as I please and be able to create stuff that people like. So little by little, I'm gonna start kind of creating something new.
Okay.
You're gonna see something new next year, in the next couple of months. So I think that just experience, most of all. For me, in a restaurant, in just the hospitality industry, it's not really the food what brings people back.
That's true.
I think it's the hospitality, what you just mentioned.
Right.
Taking care of each person that walks in, make sure they come back with different people, make sure they spread the word. And then for me, it's like the food is the cherry on top.
Right.
It's
Absolutely.
kind of just locks everything in. But honestly, the experience, it's stuff that you see here, you might see it at other restaurants.
Right.
But it's more of a little bit different because of Latin twist. You got tomahawks, the fillets, we have the pastas, We have just some vegan options, you know, and also I have had customers come in that, you know, they like a certain dish, but they don't eat that type of food, that type of protein. So I just kind of switch it up using the same stuff around it. I switch it up and I make something for them, you know, on the spot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And here's the other great part that I like about the restaurant. We have the opportunity to watch you cook. People can see you cooking there as well, can't they?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted.
Okay.
I created, I think, we didn't really touch the detail yet, but this location was a pizza parlor before. It was like a sports bar, pizza spot. And I was able to make it into my vision, change it up, give it an open kitchen concept for the same reason that I wanted to keep every customer or every ex-client that I had with the same vision. You know, if I was cooking at their home, they were able to come up and say hi to me, record, see what I'm doing, see that everything is made fresh, give them the same experience here at GOZO.
Got it. And that's one thing that's very important. When you go to, let's say, certain restaurants, like a 5-star Michelin restaurant, you have to pay an enormous amount of money to see that type of cooking being done, or to meet the chef, to greet the chef. You get that right here when you come in the door. You get a chance to see it. And one thing about food nowadays, people that handle your food, you want to know who they are. You want to know that they're respectable. You want to know that they're doing a great job. And you do all the above plus some. So not only this is a place to get great food, it's an experience. And that's what I want the people to know. It's an experience to eat here. How often can you say, unless you go on, you know how the mafia back in the day, you watch the movie, they clear a restaurant, me and my girl gonna come in, and it's not often you get a chance to meet the chef. And I see you constantly taking pictures with your patrons over at the wall. We're gonna get a picture too with the marketing team and us. But when you have that type of energy and spirit and vibe along with delicious food, it's unmatched anywhere. It really is.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I just mentioned, the experience. You know, I like to be able to continue building relationships with people that walk in. I just Sunday morning we had a couple come in and we clicked right away. Okay. You know what I mean? The server even told me, like, oh, I thought you guys were friends. Like, no, we just met right now.
That's good.
I'm able to connect with people. And be able to give them that experience where, like, okay, this is more than just a restaurant. Like, this is family, you know?
Absolutely.
And I have the same thing, the same atmosphere with the employees. Like, I don't want them to see me as an owner and their employees. We're just a family. Right. Trying to give other people a good time.
I love that. Yeah. Now tell me about the future for the restaurant. Would you like to branch off and have them in other cities? Where would you like to go as a business owner and entrepreneur as far as the foundation that you're starting again?
Yeah, the goal is definitely to branch out. Okay. You know, maybe not as a franchise, maybe not as a, you can say later on a corporation. Got it. It was more of a different concepts in different cities. Okay. With the same fundamentals that we're starting here. Got it. So this is kind of like the starter. Right. And all I'm gonna do is just copy and paste to different locations. Okay. Same principle, same everything, same, you know, just different names, different food.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Well, everybody's not gonna get the chef. So until then, I need you all to come in and patronize. We're going into the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas dinners, Christmas parties. If you want a nice day, if I'm going on a nice date night, and I've been dating you for a while, I'm coming to see the chef. Yeah. Because I'm gonna make it seem like I already know the chef more than I know him. I'm like, oh, chef, what's up? Like, oh yeah, this is my girl, so-and-so. And they're like, oh, you know the chef? Like, oh yeah, me and the chef go way back. I'm just saying, I'm giving you some free game here on what you can do. But family, date night, friends, I plan on doing something for our office, Remax Champions, to come on over. I remember my broker, Jennifer, she loved the food as well, and she's very conscious on what she eats, so I think that would be great. But I want everyone to come out and support. We're going to have some of the happy hour after we get done with the interview. And Chef, thank you for your time. Of course. I know that you have a lot to do, so the fact that you made it for me after all this time, I'm greatly appreciative of that. And I want people to come out and support, but I really want you to know that you're dealing with a real celebrity chef who can get down in the kitchen. Is not frozen, is not overcooked, it's from scratch. You get a chance to see it, you get a meet and greet, all for the price of what's on the menu and then some, and it's worth it. Yeah. So thank you, Chef.
Yeah, I appreciate
you. Thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Until the next time, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.